Update
Yeah.
from Gap Year Curious Beth. This must be a previous correspondent. Follow up for Ben and Nathan if they are interested. After listening to your advice, I am 100% taking a gap year. I took my July LSAT and performed poorly. I got a 155. Yikes. That's about 10 points lower than I had been performing on my diagnostics. Yeah, okay, so definitely retake.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I received news the night before the test administration that I had lost a family member. I
I'm
just
sorry.
wasn't in the right headspace. Yeah, that's what withdrawing is for, man.
Yeah. But
Everybody
maybe she
needs
wasn't even in the right headspace to
to
make that
withdraw.
call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we should, I don't know, this is like almost part of the preparation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have an option to withdraw up to the night before the test or the day before the test. You can go onto
Mm-hmm.
your LSAC account and you can withdraw. If you withdraw, you get at the last minute, you get no refund, but it also doesn't show up on your score record, doesn't
Mm-hmm.
count as one of your attempts. It's just as if you were never registered.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, if your family member dies the day or two before the test, that's a clear withdraw. You
Yeah.
just, there are more important things than the LSAT. And it's too bad that Beth didn't just walk away. That said, schools only care about your highest score. So whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
Um, I know this score is not representative of what I am capable of. I am going to get back to studying and start using the demon this time around. I will possibly write an addendum stating these circumstances, but I'm already writing one about the semester that I got B's and messed up my 4.0. I had some
Okay.
unresolved medical issues and missed several weeks of school.
Don't write two addendums. Now you're going to just be like a string of excuses. I don't even know if you need to write the one about
That's what I was going to say.
the bees.
Don't write either one of these addendums. Like,
Yep.
you got to think about what the schools actually want. They want your LSAC GPA and they want your LSAT score, your highest LSAT score. So this
Mm-hmm.
155 where your family member died and you weren't in the right headspace, that's not what they're buying. They're buying the 165 or the 170 that you'll eventually get when you're in the right headspace.
In short,
So
when you give them that 165, they're not going to care about the 155 or
exactly.
whatever.
And so then all
Yeah.
you're going to do is like say, hey, also look at this lower score. And that's when my grandma died and I wasn't in a good headspace. And they immediately are like, whoa, I don't want to hear about your dead grandma. And I also question your judgment for taking the LSAT when your grandma had just died. And like, it's negative. I don't see what good can possibly come out of that. Well, same thing here with the semester that I got B's and messed up my 4.0. I mean, I'm to understand that you probably have like a 3.85, right?
Yeah.
You and Joe are in the same boat. And now you're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, but also look at this semester where I got B's. I had some unresolved medical issues and I had to miss a whole bunch of school. And now they're like thinking, okay, so this is somebody who, they've got a lot of talent. Boy, we were about to admit her because she had a 3.9, but now she's telling us about these unresolved medical issues. And one time she had to miss a whole big chunk of school. And
Is that going to happen again? Is that going to happen when you're in
right.
your second semester of your first year? What's going to happen when you come here?
Yeah. You don't want that. Think about the messages you're telling them. If you send both of these addendums, now all of a sudden, instead of, oh, she's a 3.85 and a 170, automatic admit, now it's like, well, she's a 3.85 and a 170. We'd love to have her, but she's telling us about her dead grandma. She's also telling us about this medical problem and she had to miss a bunch of school. It's like all you're doing with these addenda, all you're doing here is muddying the waters,
Yeah.
right? You're giving them reasons not to admit you. You're giving them reasons to doubt. These addenda should be reserved for if you're trying to spin bad news into good. What you're
Yeah.
doing here is you're
It's,
like spinning good news into bad.
yeah. That's what Jojo's trying to do too. I get it. I think that people feel like if others can understand what they went through, they'll sympathize with them but that's just not how it works. You got to put yourself in the position of the law school trying to put together an A team. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, I know I didn't score as much in that one game, but that's because I was in this bad headspace. And all of a sudden they start judging, should you have been in bad headspace? Should you, and you're just bringing attention to something that's negative when the vast majority of your application is positive. Just
Yeah.
keep them focused on that.
Yeah, lawyers like just naturally, lawyers are going to make the argument on both sides. So even if they do feel sympathy for you, even if they are like, oh yeah, wow, okay, so we can totally discount the 155 because her grandma had died, and we can totally discount this one semester because she had these medical issues. But the lawyer in them is going to go, well, let's think about what the other side would say. Because the other side would say it was an error of judgment for you to take that LSAT when your family member had died. What kind of a monster are you that you still are going to go take the LSAT even after your family member had died? I'm not making that argument. That's an argument that could be made, right? And it's like, or in the same thing, like, oh, really? Oh, so unresolved medical issues, and you're going to use that as an excuse for a bad semester? Why didn't you just withdraw? Why is this still on your record? Do I even believe that you had these unresolved medical issues? Oh, what was that? A drug problem? Like, they just, you got to think about what the negative, because I assure you that lawyers looking at these arguments are going to be thinking about it from both directions, not the direction that is solely beneficial to you, but also they're going to think about the other interpretation of those same facts. So just be careful. I mean, this is an example of like just people talking too much, right? Like, you've got a good LSAT, you've got a good GPA, write a good personal statement, get a couple of letters of recommendation, you're in.
Yep.
Don't give them excuses not to admit you. Okay. Also, I showed my parents the podcast and they were thrilled. I guess none of us realized I was capable of going to a T14 school because I go to a state college. We are going to begin working out the logistics of taking a year off, and I will be applying for internships to keep myself occupied during the fall and spring semester that I would be out of school. Thanks again, Beth.
Are you thinking she should get a job?
No, I'm actually thinking that there is one major project that she has not yet completed.
The LSAT.
The LSAT. You're fantasizing about a T14 and fantasizing about, making big plans for the rest of your future before you have your LSAT score on record can be a mistake. Now, I'm not saying that you need to study for the LSAT full time. Not by any means. I just want to make sure that as you and your family are getting super excited about the prospect of you going to Michigan or wherever, you really do need that 170. It seems like you're capable of it. Your diagnostic or your practice tests were up into the mid 160s. If you really prepare this time, you should be thinking about bumping that up into the 170s. And that really should be the primary, not to say that it's going to consume your whole life, but I mean it when I say I want your best hour a day. Like, let's structure your life. Even if you're not LSAT studying full time, if you have the opportunity to do so, let's structure your life around the LSAT. At least decide that that's the first thing every day, or the most important thing every day. And once you're done with it, you're done with it forever. But until you're done with it, it needs to be your focus. So all this logistics of taking a year off and stuff, I don't know. That seems like putting the cart before the horse.
I agree.